Now this is a story about these hedgehogs. This is Houdini. But it's also a story about something much, much bigger than just hedgehogs alone. It's something that, shut up, all of us, potentially, nearly all of us, could get involved with. Hedgehogs are one of those garden visitors that we just assume are somewhere in our backyards. But when was the last time you actually saw one? If you have seen a hedgehog recently, then you're lucky, because we've lost about half of all our hedgehogs in the last 25 years. Now, our gardens are potentially a great habitat for hedgehogs, but we all tend to over-tidy them, and that is actually one factor in the hedgehog's decline. But help is at hand. The People's Trust for Endangered Species and the Hedgehog Conservation Trust have started a really exciting scheme called Hedgehog Street. I caught up with volunteer Fiona Van Es.
The idea of Hedgehog Street is that you talk to your neighbours in your street and encourage them to look for hedgehogs, to talk to each other about hedgehogs and look at how they can improve their own gardens, and in particular,
here we go.
A really big idea.
This is the big idea, right?
Is to connect gardens,
right,
so that hedgehogs can go between gardens, so they've got more area to forage over, because they range for up to a mile or more than a mile a night in search of food. So they need to get between more than one garden in order to find all the food they need.
Collectively, we have over 1 million acres of gardens in the UK. Unfortunately, because most of our gardens are fenced in with wire and wood, they become just isolated pockets of habitat. But it doesn't take much to make a big difference. All you need to do is look at your garden from a hedgehog's perspective. And that's exactly what Fiona is trying to encourage her neighbours to do.
From a wildlife perspective, one of the first things that you would notice is that there's a hedgerow, so they can certainly get access to the garden.
And now the one to the next door neighbour. It looks great at first sight. But it's not.
No, there's a hidden barrier behind here. You can see there's a mixture of rabbit netting and plastic netting behind there. So I doubt very much that there would be a way through. So
what are we going to do?
Make a hole.
Ideally, we're looking to make 15-inch gaps for our prickly friends.
Okay, here's our bit of fence.
Painless, wasn't it?
That's all right. Is that all we had to
friendly
do?
in seconds. Talking to neighbours, connecting your gardens, and generally thinking like the animals that live in them could not only help your hedgehog, but all of our garden wildlife. We've been lucky so far. We've just had to cut through wire. But then what about if somebody's got a really sort of solid fence? Could you just dig a hole underneath it?
Indeed you could.
Should we try one of those then?
I think that might need to be a bit deeper.
Some people might say, digging a few holes here and there, what difference can that make?
Well, it can make a difference in a small garden, but if you can imagine everybody in their gardens doing that across the country, that is going to make a huge difference.
I think there's 23 million gardens across the country. I've got this view, this vision of them all starting to interconnect. It could be the start of something really big.
Not just a wildlife corridor, but a massive wildlife network.
I like it.